art is an amazing and sacred activity, but it seems like AI wrecked that, right? And while you watch me draw this today, we're going to talk about all of the ways it seems like AI just ruined art and ruined artists for generations. But I'm also going to give you a very real and honest take on a lot of your concerns, because look, it's not all doom and gloom. Here's why. Now, artists, I need to let you know why you need to put away your pitchforks and torches and just simmer down for a minute, because when we talk about this first victim, do you remember back when social media was just fun to peruse? You used to go and discover your favorite artists. You used to go and discover all these great new people, and you'd be like, wow, I've never seen you before. Oh my God, your stuff is amazing. And now what do we have? Now we have AI witch hunts happening all the time. And when you used to be able to, just take a look at an image and appreciate it and appreciate the hard work of the artist and appreciate the creator behind that, now your first thought is, did they use AI? Those hands, little AI, you're rendering a little AI. Have you ever fell victim to this, by the way? Has anyone ever said that your stuff potentially looks like AI? Have you ever accused anybody of using AI? It's definitely made a very volatile landscape that I think that we all need to address, and we need to go ahead and figure out in a more constructive way. Let me just lay down a very basic framework for you. And I want to let you know that it's not hard to find the people that actually use AI, because they're just like vegans or CrossFitters, because they tell you about it. And here's how you can very easily identify somebody that actually uses AI. Some major red flags include no whips, no works in progress, no before and afters. This is a very clear indication of, yes, their use of AI. Also, if you ever go ahead and check out the social media pages and check multiple versions of this, don't just settle on one, because real talk, we all have some that are just dead and we don't update anymore. But go ahead and check them out. And if you find that they have process videos that look more like jump cuts, that look more like it's nonsensical in how they're approaching it, because now AI supposedly does speed paints, which it doesn't. It does the most weird and strange rendering that I've ever seen in my life that doesn't make any sense to anybody with a human brain to it. That's a clear indication. If you want the biggest indication, here's what you really need to look for. Watch their hashtags, watch their categories that they're submitting everything into, because if they're using AI, they want people that are also using AI to know that they're using AI, so that they can form some weird little symbiotic community of thieves together. Another really big thing you're going to look for is how they manipulate words in order to make them seem like they're greater than they are. Like a big thing I typically see all the time on Instagram is people be like, exploring the contours of your imagination using artificial intelligence. They won't come out and usually directly say that they're using AI, but you can tell by the BS description that they certainly are. I think we all need to calm down a hot minute here, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't suspect it, but I'm gonna encourage you, before you go ahead and you sling out that comment, before you post on somebody's subreddit, before you try and potentially troll somebody that you think is using AI, do your homework, because you don't know how offensive that is to some people, and rightfully so. Some people working so hard, laboring for hours and hours and hours, only to get told that it looks like a stupid machine can do it. Some of y'all might even take that with a badge of honor, but just to be real and honest though, it's ripping us apart, and we gotta make it stop. Now, this might throw you for a loop here, but I think that you should really thank AI for exposing one of the worst and most toxic mindsets about a really relevant topic to all artists. And it's one you probably have too. And let me lead by asking you this. Are you frustrated with social media nowadays? Did it ruin your exposure? Maybe you used to do better? Or let's say that you're new to it and you're like, man, I'm just not getting any love. I'm not getting any attention. I'm never going to build an audience, and therefore I'm never going to be successful, and therefore I'm never going to have potential. And oh, my mom and dad were right. I shouldn't have been an artist. I should have gone to school to be a nurse. And what I want to alert you to is that AI has exposed this nasty social media trap. And you've all been sucked into it, myself included at one point, which is that we are mindlessly addicted to this social media hustle. And I see so many artists that are so pissed off and dismayed that like they're not getting eyes, they're not getting attention, and they're like, well, where do I post now? But can I challenge you right here? Because I want to shape everything that you're doing differently. Why are you even on social media? What do you want to get from that? What do you hope is going to happen? Because we've all been romanced and lulled into this tempting and romanticized vision that somewhere out there, an opportunity is just going to fall into your lap because you posted a whip or because you posted a finished artwork, that people are just going to shower and praise you with attention and you're going to get offered a job. And I think that one of the dumbest illusions that's been really perpetuated is that these just swarms of art talent scouts out there that are just doing nothing but mindlessly scrolling the For You page on Instagram going like, oh, I'm so depressed. Where is the next artistic genius? That's not the case. The people that are busy in the art industry, the people that are actually hiring people, aren't perusing social media. They're not doom scrolling all the time. What they're doing is actually focus on what they're doing, on their work, on achieving more. So then therefore, I just want to challenge you this. If you're somehow looking for social media to fill that void that you feel right now, which I want to name it, you just want affirmation. And I don't blame you for wanting that. It's totally human, okay? You want validation of your efforts. But I just want to let you know this, friend, just like AI, social media is a glutton machine that consumes everything and gives you nothing. And honestly, social media will never love you back. So what should you do? If you are going to be somebody who is really using social media, you really want to figure this out. What's the purpose of it? What is this going to do for me? And why do I need to do it? And how do I need to do it? Because if you're just focused on putting things out there and hoping opportunities come to you, they probably won't. Not because you're not good enough or not because you have no potential, not because you're not talented, but really simply because you have no focus. Have you ever considered that? Now, this is a hard and emotional one for me, especially as somebody that's right here on YouTube. And I just want to ask you this. Have you been watching your heroes go down in flames? Have you been watching the art influencers that you've been following for a long time, or perhaps one that you really looked up to, somebody that really inspired you, somebody that gave you courage? And what are they doing now? Now they're going ahead and they're using AI and they're defending AI. Also, have you seen this latest trend? Have you ever seen your favorite influencer, your favorite YouTuber use AI in a video and then, whoopsie, they got called out for it and they outrage their entire audience and they alienate them. And then what do you know next? Now they make an apology video for it. And what is up with that? Have you seen too? Like, I follow some of my favorite artists and they've been people I've looked up to literally for a decade. And now I see them like trying to use AI in their process and they minimize it and they'll be like, oh, well, it's just for backgrounds. And what they're doing is they're also minimizing the harm and the exploitation. And what I feel, and tell me if you feel this way too, is that we're all kind of shook by this because it just feels like a major betrayal. You used to look up to these people, you idolize them, and you've seen their growth, you've seen their development. And you recognize like what really made them stand out and made you appreciate them in the first place. It's just established this atmosphere of just like shame and betrayal, hasn't it? And then also, have you ever seen these over emotional doomsdayers? Have you seen these people that just do nothing but propagate doom and gloom? They're making their crying videos about it and everything. I have a lot of thoughts about this. And I think that for a good part, like AI really wrecked a lot of YouTubers. And it wrecked a lot of art influencers, didn't it? And what that does is it's just made a lot of us feel alienated from communities, feel disconnected, hasn't it? And I see them making these attempts for these reasons. I think that they're trying to pander to a new audience. They're trying to get new people engaged from it, although they did not consider that it's not their authentic audience. It's not their authentic supporters either. I think they're also trying to test the waters for this and get more views and get more attention on their work without any consideration for their prior audience. Also too, I think that's just really poor timing when it comes down to it, is that like, this is not the time to do it. I think this is a time for us to fight back against this horrible, exploitative, and harmful technology that was never asked for nor needed. And look, I recognize this, and this is why I'm never gonna call them out by name. I'm never gonna wholly make videos strictly about them. But it just feels like we're all artistic orphans right now, doesn't it? But here's what I'm thinking too. Maybe it's time for y'all to find some new heroes because the older ones are too fragile to fight anymore. Now, as we move forward, I hope that you're enjoying this. And if so, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe because I'm here to keep you on track, to keep you achieving your art dreams. And I think you can do it too. And if this video is helping you, please go ahead and share it with somebody that you know that needs to hear this message too. And now you really got to learn about this. Now, what is the absolute dumbest statement perpetuated by AI bros? And I think it has to do with this. Have you ever heard this, Gem? That artists are the elite. What? What idiot concocted this completely fallacious and idiotic rhetoric? I don't know what artists that they supposedly talk to, which is probably nobody, but here are some realities. Most artists are living in poverty or just at a livable line. There is also no monetary investment into art that's completely necessary in order to make art or learn to be a better artist than a simple number 2 pencil and a plain white sheet of paper. Also, art resources are completely abundant and tons of them are free. You're watching me on freaking YouTube right now, where you can literally learn to be as good of an artist as somebody that went to art school, and probably better than them too, if they don't even know what the heck they went to art school for because they went for underwater basket weaving. So I just want to ask this, who are these 1%er artists that were born with diamond spoons in their mouth? Did I miss an enrollment meeting somehow? Did I miss an invitation that got lost in the mail somehow? But also, let's compare our vicious elitist community of artists with AI's community. First off, it's a community of stealing and not growth. They're not interested in being better artists. They're just interested in grifting a better grift than everybody else. They also restrict the majority of all knowledge strictly to customers, and that includes prompts. The amount of people paying for prompts is ridiculous right now. And then have you ever seen the amount of people that complain that their prompts are being stolen? Boy, that's a knee slapper, isn't it? Because just like Die Hard taught me, it's all about the money. And what I really want to reveal to you is that AI users, when you really take a look at it, are overprivileged and entitled windbags who have much greater access to technology, to funds and resources than artists do. Because you can be an artist regardless of where you live, regardless of how much money you have, regardless of what family you were born into. But in order to be a hardcore AI user, you have to be in a superpower country, you have to have a lot of funds, you have to have a huge superpower computer to really be able to produce a lot, and you have to have also the ability to get online, which most of the world does not. So if you look at things from a purely objective standpoint, as I've very succinctly laid out here, who's really the entitled privileged elitist? And what idiot came up with this slogan speaking about artists? Because it's probably somebody that failed art class because they didn't even try. Let me ask again, who's elitist? The supportive and open community of artists, or the thieves' den of AI users? What do you think? Now, I gotta concede with you right now. Some of y'all see videos like this, or you see a title like this, or you go through this video and you start to roll your eyes. And I get why you might feel that way. And I just want to be real, raw, and open and honest with you right now. So I get it that this topic invites fear, invites panic, invites anxiety, and it perhaps is even triggering for you. Am I talking about you? And in my videos, I see people who even make the comments like, stop talking about it. We don't need to be reminded of it. But I just want to ask you to consider some things before you admonish anybody who's trying to put a spin on this and trying to encourage artists by talking about this, and why I think that it's actually a detriment for you to totally and wholly ignore this. First off, I'm very considerate of young artists, especially artists without proper guidance out there. You need to think about the fact that you, as an older person or as a more established artist, it's way easier for you to just ignore it. But I'm thinking about the 13, 12-year-old kid who might be watching this video right now, who has been misled and overfed this AI propaganda and is just way too susceptible to its influence. And they've never heard otherwise. And I want to think too, that my main purpose here is my desire to authentically help artists on all levels, because I think you can be extremely successful, and I know you can too, and that this is seeming like an obstacle for you, but it's just really shining a light on the true obstacle, which we already talked about, didn't we? And maybe you're saying, I'm sick of AI, I'm sick of hearing about this. Sean, I'm sick of you making videos about this. Well, I just need to let you know that most don't feel that way. Most don't think that way. And that's not the case for most artists, and that's what concerns me. Or even some people will be like, oh, he just makes these videos for views. I'm like, okay, cool. Go ahead and check out my library. I have over 200 videos, okay? And literally 15 or less of them cover this topic right here. So that's wholly wrong to say that. And I invite you, I've got plenty to help you learn and grow on there, okay? But I want to let you know too why I'm okay making this content and why I think I'm different than other YouTubers as well on this topic. Because first off, I'm perfectly okay with taking a very hard and consistent stance on this, okay? I'm never gonna waver, I'm never gonna falter. I'm always gonna stay true to who I am in this, because I'm only interested in authentic creation, authentic creative efforts, just like you. And I want to help by giving you real, objective, and actionable things and resources to help fuel your creative future. Because most of the stuff I see online, I'm just gonna be honest, it's very hollow, isn't it? And I've seen the same bad advice perpetuated for far too long. And look, even if you're somebody that doesn't love these videos, I just wanna let you know, like, I appreciate you. But I also hope you understand now that you avoiding AI is really just a sign of insecurity. And if you wanna make it as an artist or just be a successful human being following your passions, you have to learn how you're going to move past this kind of stuff. Now, just to read a page out of the AI Bro Rhetoric book, we're typically called Luddites. However, though, let me just tell you that ever since AI came onto the scene, the real technophobes have come out, and I did not expect this, and I don't know if you did either, because it was very surprising to me. And AI seems to have awakened these silent trolls that have been slumbering for a long time, and I'm specifically talking about the traditional art snobs. But I started to see literally the same type of hate and comments from people who apparently have just been in a vacuum of time for the last 30 years. Because it kind of feels like it's 1990 all over again here. And most of y'all weren't even born in that era, but just to travel back in time with me, we saw digital artists being called not real artists. Oh, it's not real art. Oh, it's so easy. Oh, anybody can do that. And this is where typically AI bros also get fuel for their false rhetoric, saying that AI is just a tool. But just to let you know, I'm gonna completely destroy that later in this video, so stay tuned for that. Y'all, I cannot believe that there are still people out there that are still using the presence of AI now in order just to foster their really antiquated and empirically wrong stance on digital art as not being an actual art form, as not being a real art medium. And to everybody that thinks that, like, if you're watching this video strangely, I just want to go ahead and challenge you, like, go ahead and make exactly what you're making in your traditional art, in digital art, and try and tell me that it is not the same, that it doesn't actually utilize every single piece of information and strategy and technique that you would have to use. This has long been dispelled, but it's just so weird because this is literally not the truth. It's wholly wrong, and we should be embracing fellow creators from the art community, especially, I don't know, if you were born 30 years ago and this was already a non-issue at this point. But then on the other end of this too, if you have a lot of people retreating from digital to traditional, then that's fine. I don't hate on you whatsoever. I think it's a great thing for you to embrace it because listen, if you've never been told this, I want to let you know a really powerful mindset that you've probably never been alerted to before, but my research has definitely illuminated me to this fact, so I want to share it with you. But art is a set of transferable skills. In other words, whatever you do in one media will transfer to another media, and you bring those skills, knowledge, and concepts and your mindsets into every single piece of art media. That's typically why a lot of artists like to jump around a lot. And what you're typically doing there is you're taking and infusing little pieces of wisdom that you've gained into everything that you're doing. So in this sense, it's the same thing with digital art. But curiously, ever since AI's presence has come about, the resurgence of these true Luddites and technophobes have come out to play, and I don't really know who invited them over. And what it now feels like is that we're fighting an ignorance war on two fronts. And to all of the traditional art snobs out there hating on digital art all of a sudden, just want to say thanks for shadow supporting AI because you've made it really suck more than it already did. Nice going. Now let me ask you, how many artists do you know that have just completely given up ever since AI came out? And by the way, is this you? Are you feeling very depressed, very anxious about it? Are you feeling like you have absolutely no future? Are you feeling like there's just nothing left for you? Are you feeling completely demotivated? And I want to help you, but I need to drop a hard truth on you, which is that AI didn't make you feel that way. I understand how you feel, but it's not the fault of AI. It's not the presence of it. And really what you're really wrestling with, just so you know, is your own insecurity from it. And look, whether AI came out or not, I guarantee you that in 5 to 10 years from right now, you would be feeling the exact same way that you feel right now about it. If you're depressed, anxious, you're fearful about this, if you've completely given up, you stop posting your artwork, you stop doing anything, you can only do it when you get a fleeting little shred of motivation to do anything, you would feel the exact same way in 5 to 10 years right now. And I base that on statistics because statistically, once people typically graduate from either school or an art program, or they enter an art career field, Within 5 to 10 years, that's when they typically give up. And this has got nothing to do with AI. And this is something that we've been wholly experiencing literally for decades and generations. And that's because of hard truth number 2, I'm gonna drop out on you right now, which is that you were going to give up anyways if you felt that way. It's nothing unique, it's nothing special, it's nothing that is specifically because of the terrorizing force of AI if you perceive it that way, but you were going to give up. And that's because of hard truth number 3, which is that art isn't for everybody, but everybody can learn to be an artist. Everybody can succeed. There is that seed of potential that exists within you and with everybody watching this, okay? The difference here is just that most people are not willing to commit to that lifestyle. Most people are not willing to put in the time for it, which we'll talk about why that's a concern from AI too in just a minute. But I'm just gonna ask you, friend, can you reconsider your blame on AI? Because what I want to really awaken you to is just the fact that AI didn't take anything which you weren't willing to sacrifice anyways. Because if we remove AI, let's just pretend, boom, genie's back in the bottle, it never happened, we're back 5 years ago, right? You would be complaining about the same things that people have been complaining about for hundreds of years. You don't have access to the right teachers, you don't have access to the right instruction, you don't have the funds, you don't live in the right place, you're geographically locked away from any type of success, you're not able to get the money that you think you do because of where you were born in the world. This is nothing new, it's nothing extraordinary, it's nothing special that you feel that way. But you've now scapegoated AI for being the reason why you want to give up. And I just want to ask you to reconsider, friend, is that really how you want to be? Do you really want to sacrifice something that was your passion, that is what you really want to do, just because you think that it is going to steal your future away, just because you think that you won't have a future either? Because I just want to let you know this, there's plenty of people succeeding in spite of AI. There's plenty of people that are doing better than they were since AI came out than before AI came out. AI only has as much power over you as you allow it to. And you can and will succeed without it and in spite of it. I know you can do it. Now, my next concern on this has to deal with this question. I just want to know, do you have a death note? Because a big common concern that I see with so many artists is that they are potentially tempted to using AI or maybe they're pushed into it because they have these lingering concerns. Oh, it takes too long. It's gonna take me too much time. Or do you take a long time in your art and now you're dissatisfied with it? Do you look back and you're like, dang man, I just sunk like 25 hours in this. I don't even like it anymore. And this brings up the topic of, have you ever noticed how artists have a really toxic relationship with time? And furthermore, have you ever considered that your obsession with time is actually sabotaging you and stunting your progress? I want to just let you know that currently, if you're feeling dismayed by the amount of time, the longevity it takes you to produce something or not produce something, or the amount of time it's going to take you in order to get to where you want, it's necessary. First off, is that most of y'all really want something to take off. You've just dreamed about your post blowing up, your artwork going viral, yourself just immediately within like a couple months jumping into the career profession that you want. But have you ever stopped and considered the fact that maybe you can't handle that? And I don't mean in a way that you'll never be able to. I just mean that a lot of us don't consider what's going to happen when you get there, how you can emotionally interpret that impact, because most people don't. And just to offer you for your consideration, have you ever seen somebody totally blow up and then they weren't prepared for it? They weren't able to handle that. And for you, the reason why you're currently feeling dismayed actually has nothing to do with the fact that you think it takes too long, that you think that there's just no point in you laboring over it or you investing into that amount of time. Because I just want to offer you this suggestion here. Are you going to die in the next 5 years? Because if not, why is that your biggest obsession? Why are you not okay with just taking the time? Because a lot of you watching this, you have so many years ahead of you. And listen, doesn't matter if you're young right now and you're like a teenager, okay, what does it matter if it takes you 5 to 10 years to get exactly where you want to in your art career? That time's gonna go by anyways. So why do you want to be miserable about it the entire time? If you've been somebody who's been trying to be a professional artist for the last 30 years, and maybe it's going to take you 5 more years, okay, so why do you want to give up on it just because of the fact it's going to take you 5 more years to get there versus you can just continue to be miserable for another 30 years? What would that be like for you? See, right now, you're just caught up in the right now, and I totally get that. And as a counterpoint to this, I would suggest to you this, friend, why not just be okay with the passage of time? Why not embrace that and use that? Because I'm just going to give you some examples right now of why I'm happy that things worked out for me in a very slow way. First off, it took me about 10 years to get to my current state where I'm totally booked up and I'm very consistent on all my clients. It took me at least 3.5 years to grow up my YouTube channel to what it currently is, and I'm able to handle that very well. I would say that I've firmly established my current practices as an artist really within the last 3 to 5 years. And because of all of that, I've been able to really understand, comprehend, and fully integrate everything that I know. And most importantly, I've been able to do it in a very healthy way. And that's why I don't ever get art block. I don't ever get burnt out. And I don't ever really feel dispelled or dismayed by anything that I'm doing, nor do I feel any type of depression or anxiety when things don't work out for my artworks. And I know how to combat that because it's taken me so much time. Instead of worrying about how much time it's going to take, worry about this instead. How is your time used? How focused are you when you're using that time? And you probably heard the old saying that the most important resource is time, right? Wrong. The most important resource is attention, because if you're using your time well and you're doing it efficiently and you're focused with attention on what you're doing, not drawing while watching Netflix, while your phone blows up, while you're chatting on Discord, while you're trying to draw, then you are inevitably going to move at a much better sustainable pace than everybody else that's trying to do it distracted. Because honestly, you have enough time and you know exactly what you have to do with that time, but maybe you're just not doing it with that time, friend. And AI is exploiting that weakness in you. It's exploiting that insecurity in you. Nothing well-deserved or appreciated has ever come quick and fast. Would you please consider that? Now, have you ever been seduced by the temptress and seductress of efficiency? Now, there's real polarizing opinions on AI as a shortcut, but realistically, what does that even mean? Have you ever considered or even heard that AI could potentially be your middleman for creativity, that it could be your midwife to bring forth your creations, or that it's potentially some type of advantageous avenue to you just doing things better and faster? But have you considered why your need for speed is actually robbing you of your potential? Because one thing I'm gonna let you know, friend, is that your need for efficiency is your deficiency. And that is your obstacle to success. And what I see from so many artists is that they're trying to find a new shortcut. They're trying to not do this or not learn that and not invest the time into this because what they want is just get it out, get it done, knock it out. And what you're doing there is you're programming yourself out of the real shortcut. And the real shortcut here, y'all, is work. If you don't work for something, work will produce a shortcut for you. Working on your artwork for a sustained period of time is going to grant you everything that you want. Working on something and laboring towards it is actually going to bring you all of the peace and the success and the joy and fulfillment that you want to get. You will get efficiency, you will get speed, you will get knowledge, you will be granted wisdom, you will get everything that you want, but it has to come from something hard-won. It's not just going to be given to you ever in anything in life. From my personal example, I can tell you that from all of my years of doing art and teaching art and mentoring other people, I know what tools will work best for different scenarios. I know some quick little things that I can do that will make big impacts. I know how to create updates for my clients so that it looks like I did a lot of work, but I actually didn't do that much time put into it. I know how to create resources for people, and I know where to go and find them, and I know how to guide others. Work and time blend together to create an amazing recipe for an amazing artistic future that I think you're capable of achieving too, my friend. What I want to let you know, friend, is that work is always going to be the shortcut, and AI is not ever going to guarantee you more work. It's actually going to take away work from you because it is the thief of your destiny. Now, I want to let you know why artists are never going to go anywhere, because we've been around since forever. But AI's propaganda is really making you think and question that. I want to ask you, like, have you ever been pressured into using AI? And if so, where? And that all contributes to this really toxic mentality of adapt or die. And I always question that, and I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing too, because I really want to challenge that. What do you think you're going to adapt to? Because here are some really hard facts that you really need to consider before you really hop on that bandwagon. First off, I guess you're going to want to adapt to the poorest pricing in the market. Every single AI-based work out there is the poorest of poor, the cheapest of cheap, and it's never going to be regarded as anything more, because if you've never heard this before, it's not about how fast you do it. It's not about how well rendered it is. It is about the appreciation of your labor. And just saying it here, because if AI is all about speed and efficiency and quick results, then it basically is worthless. And if you talk to anybody that's trying to sell their AI artwork, boy, they'll tell you that they really earn those $15 commissions, because they'll never supersede that. Also, there's a massive growing disinterest in all communities between artists and non-artists alike. More and more people are growing totally sick of this. And if you see reports, if you read, anything that's not just shoving AI propaganda down your throat from any news articles, you will continue to learn this, and this is only going to get worse in time, is that apparently you want to adapt to people just hating your stuff and ignoring you, because that's what every AI user is starting to see, is severe downturns in their traction, in their reach, in their actual eyes on their works. Also, I guess you might want to adapt to a ballooning community of AI users that are completely unsuccessful on all platforms. So if you take a look at everybody that was lulled into, creating AI products to sell, they're not making much money, if at all, anymore nowadays. I have this shadow account where I actually follow AI communities, and it's funny to me how many of them will say that they're so much better than us as artists, but they're all complaining that nobody buys their products and nobody's buying their stuff and no one's commissioning them, even though they thought that they were so grand and superior to artists. Also, if you've never heard this, but there's been a lot of studies coming out lately showing that actually using AI in the title of your product or advertising it as anything involving AI actually creates mistrust in the customer base for it. People are wholly avoiding these products and they're staying away from it. And I mean, just to be honest, it seems like that's the buzzword of 2023 and 2024 so far. I literally saw a bag of cat food that said enhance with AI, and I was like, what? How? That's so stupid. Also, I guess you'd want to adapt to technology where literally every major company that's wholly investing into AI has shown major plummeting stock drops. So I guess you'd want to adapt to continuous poverty and failure, right? But I just want to combat this, because there's plenty of artists that are rocking it. They're doing amazing stuff, just like you, and just like you want to be. Just for example, I follow an Instagram artist who paints in gouache, not even digital art, in gouache, and do you know what they paint? It's not fantasy, it's not D&D, it's not anything big and trendy. They paint mushrooms and flora and fauna. And guess what? They are killing it across all platforms, and they make lots of money on what they're doing, and they're a sustainable professional artist. And I just looked at that and I just think, if they can do that, why can't you? Why can't you make it? Why can't you get in with the companies that are good? And are companies going to attempt to utilize this technology? Yes, because it seems like it's the right thing to do for them. But what we're quickly finding is that all of them are not going to be successful, and a lot of them are not very successful right now. So why would you want to be on board with that? Because you're trying to adapt to something that you think is going to give you a leg up, instead of just investing into yourself, instead of taking the brave road, like I would encourage you to do, friend, of just being secure with who you are and what you want to do and following that path for a sustained period of time. Because I promise you this, if you're looking for quick results and shortcuts, and you're looking for this obsession with efficiency to be satiated, you are just going to fail yourself long before you fail at art. I don't want that for you. All right, I'm gonna get heated about this one here, because I think that it's come time for this to happen. Can we please draw a line in the sand and clarify this major concern about AI? And I want to ask you, have you ever heard the excuse or the rhetoric of AI art is just another tool? And I want to challenge that by asking, a tool for what? And what I'm poking at here is just this fact, is that a tool serves the purpose of a creator. And in using AI, AI is not a tool, you are. It doesn't need you to function in the same way that, like, if I have a pencil in my hand, it won't do anything if I just drop it. But just to be real, AI can do anything without you. It doesn't need you, you need it. And therefore, that establishes AI as a leech because it's literally sucking the life out of you and your originality. Have you considered that? And what this also ropes into is this concept that's been really misinformed and propagated, which is that AI is a tool for imagination. And I really need to clarify this as somebody that's heavily researched on this topic. What creativity actually is channeling your lived experiences. What creativity actually is has to do with how you insert your interpretations and understandings of the world. And creativity always involves how you imbue your personality and your life perspectives. And this isn't just big brain concepts. Like literally, if you put an apple in front of 10,000 artists, you will get 10,000 variations of it because of how they look at things. And that therefore contributes to what you might call originality, even though you might think, well, originality is dead and there's nothing anymore. But here's what I offer to you instead is that if you look at this from a humanities perspective, which it is, then you have to understand that the only way that you'll ever bring out the best version of you is investing into you. The only way that you're ever going to bring out the best version of your art is solely investing into your art. And just to give you some suggestions, I'm not going to leave you in the dark here on this, but I'm going to tell you this, like if you're feeling lost or you're feeling like you just don't know what you're doing, here are some basic things that you should focus on. First and foremost, I'm going to say this, and I call it all the time on people when I work with them, but references. Most artists totally suck at actually getting references. And it just seems like this is a topic that everybody's in the dark about. You know, you just gather like 2, 3, 4, 5 references and then go to make an artwork and then you hate it afterwards. That's why. If you want a whole video on this topic, by the way, let me know down below because I'm happy to make that one. But that's a big thing too. Like that's your reference collection before you beginning and your pre-planning is the major cause of your demise artistically. And also, like, are you fully investing into your ideas? A lot of times people think that they have an idea, but they don't actually sit there and invest into the idea and really carving out exactly what they have to do. And what you'll find is that AI does not gift you creativity, it bleeds you of it. Have you ever considered that? Now, the curious part that you're probably not fully aware of is how there's so much that's been happening to AI lately that they just didn't expect. They expected to overwhelm us and they expected to just dominate everything. And they expected to just go ahead and just steamroll all efforts against this slew of AI propaganda, but that's not happening. And I made an entire video right here about all the signs of AI's death. So go ahead and check it out. And hey, if this helped you, make sure you share it with somebody that you know. See you next time.